Welcome back to Real Clear Politics on Sirius XM. I'm Andrew Walworth, and I'm joined now by RCP White House correspondent Phil Wegmann. So, Phil, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Andy.
So you have this piece on the front page of RCP today about the new head of the Office of Personnel and Management, Scot Kupor. You sort of frame him as a kinder and gentler Elon Musk. So who is he, and what does his appointment say about the Trump administration going forward?
Well, first of all, if we just back up a moment, if I came to Carl Cannon, our DC bureau chief, in any other year than 2025 and said that I wanted to spill 1,200 words of ink on the Office of Personnel and Management, I mean, that wouldn't happen. You can't think of a more boring agency. But like you sort of alluded to a second ago, because Elon Musk turned OPM into the ad hoc nerve center for Doge and was using really the HR department of the federal government to try and cut what he saw as $2 trillion worth of waste, fraud, and abuse. This really became the epicenter of controversy for the first 100 days of Donald Trump. It's where those infamous 5 things letters were sent. It's where the decision was sent out to fire, then rehire 400 nuclear scientists. I mean, a lot of the drama was right there at OPM. Now Scot Kupor comes in. He was confirmed 8 days ago, and he says, yes, we're going to be efficient. We are going to cut down on waste, fraud, and abuse, but we're not going to be able to cut $1 trillion with a snap of our fingers. So it's a little bit of moderation from an administration that has sort of been defined by these hyperbolic promises.
Yeah, but he's an outsider as well, like Musk. He's a venture capitalist, right? And sort of comes to Washington without any previous experience. He's a lawyer as well as a very successful, tech guy, basically. So he also, and you allude to it in his article. He's like, well, if they run me out of town, no big deal, right?
Yeah, and that's one of the interesting wrinkles, because Kupor comes from this long line of business executives with zero government experience, not unlike President Trump, who arrive on the scene and say, look, we just need to do what is most efficient. We need to cut costs. And that makes sense in the private sector, and it also probably makes sense in government too. But you don't always have that type of executive power. There's laws and legislation and all sorts of regulations that you have to follow. Kupor here, though, is different because while he's focused on efficiency, yes, and he does share a lot of the same goals as Donald Trump and Elon Musk, I think that what makes him different from other business leaders is, like you said, he doesn't see this as his final, job. I mean, he sees it as his final job in government, but he's not trying to reach higher office. For him, he's one and done. At least that's what he told all of us reporters when we met with him over at OPM yesterday.
Yeah, but he still is going to cut people's jobs. I mean, you say in the article that he wants to treat federal employees more humanely. Which I guess we can all applaud, but at the same time, he's still looking to cut, what he considers waste, fraud, and abuse. I guess make it more efficient.
That's right. So by the end of the year, OPM is going to be whittling its staff down from just over 4,000 to about 3,000. They have 1,200 contractors. That's going to be halved. But what is notable here is that these reductions in force are not being done just through mass firings. Think about 100 or so actually were fired, but the rest were offered early retirements or were offered the opportunity to, take a bonus and then work elsewhere in the federal government. So it's not as, cold-hearted, one might say, as Elon Musk. But, I think beyond just the reductions at OPM, what is notable here is Elon Musk used OPM sort of as a Doge conduit to try and get these other agencies to follow his lead. And he clashed with Scott Bessent at Treasury. He clashed with Marco Rubio. But now he's no longer in the administration. He's a former White House staffer. Kupor is saying, look, we want OPM to be so efficient and so well run that other agencies look to us as an example. And he said it's going to be through power of persuasion, which might be a little naive in Washington, D.C., but power of persuasion that we're going to win out in the end. And one of the things that he's going to be doing, a former Silicon Valley guy, is introducing AI to some of these, more basic tasks that OPM does as they make those staff reductions.
And does this close a chapter on Doge? And I'm just wondering how Doge, because you're over in the White House a lot, how is Doge viewed at this point? I mean, with Elon Musk on the outs and a war now with Donald Trump, has that sort of just colored the entire effort and the whole idea of Doge, or is there still a feeling inside the government? Because Scott Bessent and people like that spoke very highly of the idea of cutting $1 trillion in waste, fraud, and abuse. That was sort of part of their plan. Is that still going to happen, or is Doge dead?
Kupor, he was telling us that Doge was a good catalyst, that it sort of reoriented the administration to thinking towards cost savings. He likened it to how Intel, when they were on the back foot in the early 1990s, they tried to reuse paper clips, not because that was going to balance the books, but because it communicated to staff, hey, we all need to come together. But Doge generally, I think that Doge sort of died the day that the Republican Congress advanced this multi-trillion-dollar spending package, which includes, tax breaks, certainly, but also some pork, like a little notice piece of appropriation there from the Texas Senate Republican coalition, which is going to pay $85 million to move the Discovery space shuttle from Washington, D.C. to Houston. So it's kind of difficult for this administration to say, oh, yeah, we're all about Doge. We're all about cutting waste, fraud, and abuse, and then greenlit this, $1 trillion budget buster.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're at the 6-month mark, I think, of the Trump administration, and Doge sounds like it's out the door. Well, that's our program for today. You're listening to Real Clear Politics on Sirius XM. I've been talking to Phil Wegmann. Hope you'll be back with us tomorrow. Have a great evening.